Hi, I'm Nate Wakeford, your masculinity and mindset coach. Today I'm going to be talking about emotional safety. Now, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and anyone who has been severely affected or had a life experience or an event where someone was emotionally abusive will know just how important this topic is. Now, this isn't a conversational piece about victimhood. It's the opposite. It's about responsibility for how we show up and in life, the impact of our words and actions on others, and also our responsibility as men to create safety in our environments. That when we see someone causing someone else emotional harm through their words and actions, be it a man or a woman, that we're willing to stand up and we're willing to create awareness and bring harmony and order in those circumstances. And often, I see, this is a mistake that I made, I see men, and I coach these men who have experienced significant emotional trauma, violence at the hands of women because they were not aware, they were never shown how to bring order to their environments. They were never shown how to moderate their own emotions, and therefore they couldn't bring stability and order when other people's emotions are being expressed in a very harmful way. And so this message begins with compassion to say, I have been there. I've been a recipient of emotional attacks, and very severe ones that involved the police, ones that involved even framing me at one stage. And so I very much know the impact of emotional violence. Often when we think, the way that it's framed in society is that men are the violent ones. Well, I would agree, typically probably men are more physically violent, especially if they have not learned how to moderate their emotions, especially if they do not have masculine frame, if they are not aware of the consequences of their actions. And so this is why I'm saying emotional safety begins first inside of self. And it begins, if you're a man, with one, having a certain degree of emotional hygiene, being able to release your intense emotions, being able to bring yourself back to your center, being able to have the ability to create calm within inside of yourself as a baseline, as a foundation every morning through breath work, through meditation, through exercise. And you release the buildup of emotional burden that may have built up. And also in that emotional hygiene, you have the conversations that might be difficult to have early on. You don't avoid things. You don't avoid bringing things up that are weighing heavy on your heart or that are causing you distress. And you're willing to meet and face the consequences of those actions. See, often men who fear loss, they will avoid having difficult conversations. And this is based on childhood traumas that are unresolved. And that's another big part, is you need to heal your childhood traumas, because your ability to handle the intensity of emotions, your ability to hold yourself in a place of calm will increase when you have less triggers. And also the importance of practicing embodiment exercises that allow you to remain calm and centered in yourself. The training to meet intensity by doing things like standing on nail boards and doing temescals or hot saunas, doing ice bars, those moments of intensity where you have the mental will to move beyond the emotional intensity are so important to be able to bring order in the middle of chaos. Attending retreats, like I hold Sovereign Warrior Retreat in Tulum, and there I do an exercise where I bring men into their emotions and then come back. I also do an exercise where men trigger each other and then they restore themselves back to order and calm and safety. These sort of practices are so important in developing your capacity as a man to remain calm in intensity and to be able to create emotional safety and well-being around you. And the next point is especially in relationship to the feminine. I believe there is some misconceptions that men should just be punching bags. That when a woman is being dishonorable, disrespectful in her emotional expression, that's okay. It's completely not okay. And a man will erode his self-confidence and well-being over time if he's not willing to stand for himself. Whilst women are emotional creatures and tend to go through their cycles throughout the month, and it is a beautiful thing for a man to remain still and calm and offer stability to the woman through his own emotional stability and presence, that's a beautiful thing. What I'm saying is the moment that it crosses into a line where a woman's taking out her traumas with emotional violence on the man, that's completely not okay. And if a man is experiencing that in any capacity, he really needs to pull himself away from that environment and seek the support of strong men around him, to be a counselor if necessary. And that man needs to begin working on his masculine frame and healing his wounds and traumas, and become aware of any way that he is allowing or enabling behaviors that could cause him harm. See, this is, I just started this conversation with compassion for a man. But what I'm also saying is the man has to have responsibility for being the dominant authority in his environment. And if he has someone who is causing him emotional violence or harm, he needs to remove himself from that environment and create safety for himself. Now, typically, if things have got to that stage, there's one, the choice of partner in the first place. There's often been an escalation where it's reached that point of violence, and there's disdain or disrespect being shown and dishonor being shown from the woman towards the man. You don't just get to that place straight away, or extremely rarely would that ever happen. Typically, even these things happen over many years, and where the man really abandons himself and he tolerates really poor behaviors towards him. And so this is where a man needs to create a boundary, create space, come back to himself, build himself back up again in his confidence, in his self-esteem and self-love, through discipline, self-care and action, to create boundaries for the way that he'll allow others to treat him and hold himself to the standards that will no longer tolerate dishonor and disrespect, because he no longer tolerates them for himself. So this is particularly relevant because, what I'm now seeing is a significant amount of emotional violence from women who are in pain. And I'm not sure if you've heard of the concept of the victim-perpetrator loop. Well, it's now what I'm observing is, in some circumstances, and because, like I said, I'm coaching men who are going through this, who've gone through separations, and this isn't trying to create men as victims at all. I'm just pointing to an awareness, just because I believe men have to change their circumstances to create a different outcome. But what I am pointing to is that there is an increased emotional violence, and I see this a lot online, that the moment that there is some expression of this isn't okay, that man gets cancelled and attacked. And I've seen it recently in my own community. So if a man is willing to grow, if he makes a mistake and for whatever reason, if he's willing to grow, if he's willing to show through his conduct that he can operate with integrity, with humility, with awareness of the consequences of his words, actions, behaviors, then that man can become a beautiful man. If he is someone whose behavior comes from pain, and this goes for women as well, if people are unwilling to meet and resolve their traumas, if they put that pain onto others, then they effectively are becoming a dangerous person. Both men and women can be dangerous people. Typically men are more physical, typically women are more emotional, just because of the differences in our physicalities. In those circumstances, there needs to be clear communication. If the police need to be involved, then that should happen as well. Violence against another is not okay. And whilst I'm all for developing myself and encouraging men to develop themselves physically, to be protectors, I'm not for moving towards violence to inflict on another, even if you've been emotionally traumatized yourself. And you'll see that from some men. They'll be emotionally traumatized, and then they'll take their violence out on people around them. And this is not okay. This does not create safety and all well-being, and it really goes against the very foundations of having a masculine frame. The masculine frame brings order, brings calm, brings harmony, and he doesn't tolerate behaviors that cause harm to others. He seeks to resolve them. He also doesn't tolerate harm being directed towards himself. That's where it's so important to develop yourself in your emotional intelligence, to develop masculine frame, to both feel your emotions but then know how to moderate your emotions and move into a place of stillness in the intensity of emotions, such that you don't react from a place of emotional intensity and cause harm to another. I hope this video has been useful. If you would like support in building your emotional frame to become a framed man, a safer man, then please connect with us via the captions below this video. Join the Sovereign Brotherhood community. If you'd like my direct support as a one-to-one coach, there's also a link to book a discovery call with me. Thanks so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.